All right, welcome back. Thank you for doing this video. As you know, if you do them, you rock the quiz on Friday. If you don't do them, you're not rocking it. Simple as that. You put the work in, it feels good, and it pays off. All right, let's go. So this first one is a line plot, which we did earlier in this unit. So remember, each X is like a person on this graph. So students in a 5th grade math class measured the lengths of 12 erasers. So an X will be an eraser, right? The line plot below shows the results. So here, length in inches. So 1/4 is the shortest length, right, that anyone measured, but a lot of kids have it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 kids have an eraser that's a 1/4 inch long. So the shortest eraser is a 1/4 inch, but the most common eraser is a 1/4 inch. Then 3 kids have a 1/2 inch, 3 kids have a 3/4 inch. And that is the longest eraser, right? 3/4 inch is the longest eraser. It doesn't have the most kids, but it's the longest eraser. So then here it asks, what is the total length in inches of all the erasers when they're lined up end to end? So we've done this a lot, so I'm going to kind of go fast. Now remember, I like to make my denominators equal, just makes life easier. So here, 1/2, I'm just going to make 2/4. Okay? And now I'm going to add them all up. So 1/4, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I counted it wrong before. So it's 6 times 1/4 equals 6/4, right? Okay, so I'm done with that. Now 2/4 times how many? 3 equals 6/4 as well. And then finally, so we're done with that, 3/4 times 3/1 equals 9/4. Okay, so now I have 6/4, 6/4, and 9/4. I just have to add those up. So 6/4 plus 9/4 plus 6/4. So 15, 21, 21/4. All right, and then that's pretty easy. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. So I can make 5 holes, and there's a 1/4 inch left over. So there's 5 1/4 inches of eraser. For a second, I had to think if it was inches or feet, but it's inches. So I use multiplication, but you could have just, for 1/4, just done 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. Got 6/4. Then at 2/4, you could have done 2/4 plus 2/4 plus 2/4, 6/4. So you can skip count, you can repeated add, you can use multiplication. Okay? Pretty straightforward, actually. All right, moving on. Okay, so we have another volume problem. On this one, remember that volume is length times width times height, right? Length times width times height. And the trick here is it's an irregular prism this time. Before it just had, a regular shape. It was one rectangle. Now it's made of 2 rectangles. So we're going to need to find the volume of 2 rectangles and add them. All right. So what I like to do when I have a problem like this is label which rectangle is which. So I think what I'm going to do here is draw a line that's like this. Okay? I'll call this A and this B. Now for A, and I know I kind of flipped the order, but A is easier. All right, so that's why I'm calling it A. For A, I can see that the height is really easy. It's 12, so I'm going to put a 12 here. And I can see the length is pretty easy. It's this line here, so that's 3. And the width is pretty easy. It's 2. So when I do that, 3 times 2 is 6 times 12, and that equals 72. Okay, so I save that one. So A is 72. All right, now I'm going to switch colors here. Now B is a little harder, and I'll show you why. So first off, I can tell B is 8 inches high. Okay, so that one's not so bad. So 8 inches high. Now, how far back does it go? So the width is this line here, right? Sorry, it's hard to draw that dimension here. It's that. Now, if I look, I can see that line is this here. It's this. So that's 2. So the width is also 2. When we get to this unit, we'll be able to touch these shapes and you'll see a little more clearly. Now, the confusion on this one is how long it is. So the length is this way. All right? And that says 10. But the problem is I cut the 10. I put a line here, so it's not the whole 10. It's part of the 10. And I can see here that I cut off 3. So if I cut off 3 from 10, I have 7 left. Okay, so that's why B is harder, because one of the dimensions, you have to kind of find them, right? So here we have 7 times 2 is 14, times 8, 112. Okay, so A was 72, B was 112. I add them together and I get 184 inches to the third power. Okay, all right, last one. A student incorrectly wrote the number 362 and 408 thousandths in expanded form as shown below. So before you even do this and figure out why they wrote it wrong, you need to write this number in a place value chart. So I'm going to draw a place value chart just like you could. Okay, so now I have my place value chart. I have the hundredths, the tenths, the ones, the tens, the hundreds. And you see my decimal here, right? Okay. So now I look at this number, and I might as well, this is what the kid wrote, right? So why don't we ignore what the kid wrote for a second? And why don't we look at what the word is? A student incorrectly wrote the number 362 and 408 thousandths. So let's write that. 362, and remember, and is a decimal, 408 thousandths. Oh boy, I need another place here. Oops. Let me get my blue out. So that's thousandths. Sorry, I need another 0. Ooh. I apologize for it being messy. All right, I apologize. My 1,000 is written so crazy, I can't like squeeze it in there. So we have 300. So 362. And then it says 408 thousandths. So 408 thousandths. So remember, we have to end in the thousands, but we just write the number 408. So we write the number 408 and end in the thousands. So 408 thousandths. We're ending in the thousands. So the number should look like 362 and and is our decimal, 408 thousandths. Now let's look at what the kid wrote again and see where he went wrong. Oh, I can see it already. Okay, so this kid wrote 3 times 100, right? Is that true? Are you supposed to have 3 in the hundredths place? It is true, because we have 3 in the hundredths place, so it's 3 times 100. That's true. Great. 6 times 10. Should we have 6 in the tenths? We should. Okay. 2 times 1. Should we have 2 in the ones? We should. 4 times 1/10. Should we have 4 in the tenths place? We should. Here it is. 8 times 100th. Should we have 8 in the hundredths? No way, dude. We should have 8 in the thousandths. So that's where you explain your answer. You're going to say something like, the student, I don't know why it doesn't want to work for me. Okay. You're going to just say the student wrote, I can't write it, I'll just say it. The student wrote 8 hundredths, but it should have been 8 1,000ths. Okay? So to do these problems, you definitely need the place value chart. I hope this helped. Thank you so much for watching the video. I've said this a million times. I'm going to say it a million more times. I make these videos so I can keep teaching you even when you're not in class with me. If you put in the work, it'll feel good and it will work. I've watched so many kids over the last couple weeks watch these videos and just crush these quizzes. So you have to make a decision. Are you going to decide to be someone who does well because they put the work in? You're going to decide to be someone who doesn't put the work in. So come on, make the right decision. And this might be confusing, but if you do some of the video with me, tomorrow when I go over it, it's going to be a little more clear. All right? When you put in work, it feels good, and it goes in the right direction. All right, see you tomorrow.